Hey guys, second video for today is about how to review for the quiz for tomorrow. So I'm just going to go through this. If you weren't in class today, we did this with Pear Deck, so we talked through the examples, but I'm going to go through the examples and show you how to review for the quiz or what's on the quiz for Friday. Sorry, my phone's ringing because it's my prep time. So here we go. We have a quiz tomorrow, and the quiz tomorrow is on finding mean, median, and range, and a set of numbers on data tables and interpreting graphs. Okay, so let's practice. So to calculate the mean or average of a set of numbers, you need to, step one, add all of the numbers together. So if this is our set of numbers, we're going to add the 5 numbers, here it is, together, and that gives us 30. Then since we had 5 numbers, we're going to take those numbers and divide by 5. So 30 divided by 5 equals 6. If this had been a decimal point, we would round to the nearest tenth in science class. So we add them up. So let's practice with this set. So you do the average, get out a calculator, calculate the average of this set of numbers. All right, so here would be the answer. So you would add the numbers up. So 12 plus 15 plus 14 plus 17 plus 13 plus 18. And then you would divide by 6 because we have 6 numbers here. And the answer would be 14.8. So again, notice how we rounded to 1 decimal point. So the next thing you can do is you can calculate the median of a set of numbers, and that means median is the middle number. So this is the one where a lot of people forget this first step, which is to put the numbers in order from smallest to largest. And if you have 2 numbers of the same number, you need to include both of them because they are part of the data set. So then what you do is you start on each side and you cross out one number until you get to the middle number, and then your middle number is your median. So in this case, the answer is 6. So I would like you to do that for this set of numbers. Find the median. And this one's kind of a trick because there's 6 numbers. So you have to remember when we talked about this before that you have to put them in order and then cross them out. When you get to the middle there, you have 2 numbers that remain because there's an even number of numbers here. So when that happens, you still have to find, now you have to find the mean also. So you add those 2 numbers together, 14 plus 15 is 29 divided by 2. So in this set, the numbers, it would be 14.5. That is what you would get. So you would take these 2 numbers here that are left, 14 and 15, you have to add those together, divide by 2, so 14 plus 15 is 29 divided by 2, and the answer is 14.5. So if we go to the last one, the range of the set of numbers is the largest number in your data set, which is really easy to find if you've just done the median because you have them in order. So you take the largest number minus the smallest number, and that gives you your range of a set of data. So we're going to practice that with this last set of numbers. So find the largest number and the smallest number and subtract them. So the range for this set of data would be 18 minus 12 equals 6. Okay, the next thing on the quiz tomorrow is how to use a data table. So the first thing you need to know is that when you're making a data table, the independent variable always goes to the left and your dependent variable goes to the right. And then you need to put a title on it. And the title, I've said this many times, just take the question and put it on top. So your question has both parts that you need. It has the independent and the dependent variable, so make sure you include both of those in your title. Okay, so what's missing from this data table? Excellent, you're right, it is missing a title. So we would need to say something along the lines of how many barks per hour based on breed of dog, or do certain dog breeds bark more times per hour? Something along those lines. Okay. In this one, we'd have to figure out then the independent variable. And remember, the independent variable is always to the left. So the independent here, what we're changing is the breed of dog. What we're going to measure then, the dependent variable is the number of barks per hour. So it's something we can count. Yeah, so when we're graphing, we talked about, and we just finished talking about graphing yesterday, so this is a little bit more fresh in your mind. But remember that when you start graphing, you want to first start by looking at the title and looking at what should we tell us about the title. And then step 2, this informs us, we want to look at the independent and the dependent variable and make sure that they match up and that the graph is actually The title is actually telling us what the graph is about, and then we look for observations of the data found in the graph. So first of all, make sure that you can identify the independent and the dependent variable based on where they are in the graph. So here, the independent variable is always on the x-axis at the bottom. That's the thing that you're changing. The dependent variable is on the y-axis. That is the thing that you are going to measure. So dependent or independent, dependent, independent, dependent. So here our independent variable is a type of sponge. So which sponge, according to this graph, held the most water? Type sponge A, B, C, or D? The correct answer there would be A. Okay. Which sponge was able to hold 50 milliliters of water? And then so you can go over here, and I would find the 50 milliliter mark and then go across, and you can see that sponge B is the one that can hold 50 milliliters. And then let's just scroll down here. And then we have which hypothesis is supported by our data. Now this one's a little harder for me to do because I typed the hypotheses in. But you would have a null hypothesis, and the null would say that the type of sponge has no effect on the amount of water that the sponge can hold. And if that were the case, then all of these would be the same height. All the bars would be exactly the same. So then let's say our H1 would read that sponge A can hold the most water, and then our hypothesis H2 would say sponge B can hold the most water, H3 would say sponge C can hold the most water, and H4 would say sponge D can hold the most water. So in this case, we would support our hypothesis 1, which said that sponge A can hold the most water. We look at this one. We need to know then at 12 p.m. how many flies were caught. So the first thing we need to do is, again, find 12. So here's 12 p.m. and we're going to go up until we hit the mark that crosses the line, so here, and then we can go over and we can say that at 12 p.m. there were 20 flies caught. Okay. On this one, it's asking, oh, I guess I didn't change the question. So at this one, I think it was asking at what time did we catch 30 flies. So then you would go find the 30 and you would go across, and then it would come down and say 4 p.m. So this question here should say at what time when were 30 flies caught, and the answer would be 4 p.m. So we were practicing how to use a graph, and those are some examples of how you can efficiently use a graph. So these are the things that will be covered on the quiz tomorrow. If you have any questions, you can of course send me an email, or you can send me a message through the private chat. Thank you so much.